G'day guys, welcome back to Modified. This is a 6x6 Landcruiser. We just caught up with the driver. Hey John, how you going?
Hey Ronny, nice to meet you.
Look at this rig.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Mate, 6x6. Awesome rig, you guys are in for a treat. This isn't a show car, this is built for purpose, built for outback touring. It has 400 litres of diesel. Is it any good on fuel economy? Let's find out. I know you've driven it through deserts. It clearly is set up for touring.
Well, I didn't design it for a particular look. The design of the vehicle is all about function, to go to the most remote places in Australia, and I've taken it there. It'll go anywhere. It's meant to go anywhere. The ground clearance, the 3-inch lift, it's unstoppable. Off-road animal bar gives good approach angle. The rear of the vehicle has been compromised with the departure angle, with a tow bar and a winch, but that's been offset by flaring the side toolboxes. The awnings are designed to go right round the vehicle. There's a 180-degree awning on one side and a 270-degree awning on the other, so that the awnings can be out and giving full cover right round the vehicle, and still have the pop-top roof on the cabin, which gives you a good 10-foot clearance inside the cabin to walk around. It has everything that one would want for remote touring. I've never seen a situation or been in a situation where it can't proceed.
How long did this take to build?
The start date was late 2020 and it was finished a year later. Each of the diffs has got a diff locker. The front diff's got an electric diff locker. The first of the rear axles has got an ARB air locker, and then the last axle's got the standard Toyota electric diff locker.
Has there ever been a situation you needed all 3 lockers to get out?
Yeah, I was pulling somebody out of a bog in the sand, and it was a straight line pull, so I engaged all of the lockers, and it just walked me straight out of that situation, pull the guy out of the bog. The turning circles are the same turning circle as what would be from an extended chassis 79 series. It is not great, and this is just a little bit worse than the standard. Turns from the centre point between the 2 rear tyres. The gearbox is an 8-speed automatic from ZF. It's the same gearbox that's used in the Ram 1500 and a lot of other vehicles, BMWs and so forth. And also you have your manual mode. In this particular case, it has a self-learning aspect that the gearbox changes, so it learns how you drive and optimises the changes for your driving style.
This episode of Modified is sponsored by the Terrain Tamer e-store. If you're looking for parts for your 4-wheel drive, they're worthy of checking out their online store, terraintamer.com, or e-store, I think it is, right there on the screen. What's the weight of this thing?
Fully loaded, fully equipped with food, water, diesel, it's 5.4 tonne. Your safety margin of 680 kilos.
How do you stop 6 tonne?
Good question. We've gone away from the vacuum boosters. We've gone to a hydraulic brake boosting system. The power steering provides you with the boosting power for your braking system. I don't believe that airbags should be used to compensate for your suspension, your springs. The type of suspension I went for was a superior 3-inch lift coil spring front suspension with the Hyperflex radius arms. That then gave me a ride height which was then duplicated in the back when we did the 6x6 conversion. So the coil springs in the back, the remote res shocks are all been designed from the front suspension going backwards. I tried a lot of settings because obviously you get these adjustable shocks, you're going to try the settings. I just found the lowest setting pretty much right for all of my remote touring work, and I get lazy and haven't bothered to change it for when I got back into town. So it's sitting on about 3 out of 8. In darkness I find camp most of the time. That's why I've got good lights all the way around the vehicle, so I can pull up in the dark, have my dinner, get everything organised and get to sleep. In remote areas, it's really important to have that whole thing lit up by having a really strong broad beam from the curved floodlight has been fantastic. It shoots up about 1 kilometre ahead of me in the open road. I put camping lights on both sides of the vehicle, because you've got to have lights all the way around the vehicle so that you don't impinge on somebody else's enjoyment of their camping experience.
And that segment was of course brought to you by In Darkness We Find Camp. Tyres, John, that's a big choice. What have you gone with?
I particularly like the Nitto tyres. I went for the 315/75 R16 tyres, and they stand a bit taller. So when you let the tyres down, they give you the length without bellying out too much.
Why muddies, not something else?
A few things. One is the muddies are stronger in construction. The muddies are a good all-round tyre, and the Nittos aren't too noisy. I haven't really had an issue with their noise. The rims I've got are CSA Dakar rims. They've got a load rating of 1.4 tonnes. They come in a 16-inch. I think they've got a 6mm offset, which is basically nothing. 6 on the ground, 2 spares if I damage any of the rims, which I haven't damaged any at all, thank God. It's got 400 litres of diesel capacity. It's got a 200 litre long ranger tank as the main tank. It's got an auxiliary 130 litre belly tank, and together I carry 80 litres in jerry cans. I'm getting now about 15 litres per 100 on most of the driving that I'm doing. So with 15 litres per 100 and 400 litres of fuel, I can pretty much go anywhere.
6x6 weighing at 5.4 tonne with a 6 tonne GBM. How does it get such a good fuel economy?
Well, I've tuned it for torque, not for horsepower, and we've installed a PWR intercooler with fans to give it cool air into the engine. But other than that, the engine's standard. Modifications have been made to the airbox. The bottom part of the airbox has been filed so that the lip of the airbox is flat, dead flat, and the top part of the airbox has been installed with a shim from Terrain Tamer, which also then creates a flat surface for the airbox to clamp down on it. And with those two modifications, we've had no issues at all with dust penetration into the airbox. It's perfectly fine. We've got 2 oil coolers in the front, one down low behind the winch and then one above the winch in front of the radiator. Also, we've replaced the standard pan on the automatic transmission with a pan made of cast aluminium with fins. It also has a higher oil capacity than the standard, so we've increased the oil capacity by about 20 or 30%. This additional oil capacity plus the fins means that the transmission runs a lot cooler.
This vehicle has 700 amp hours of battery power all throughout it.
It's pretty complex. It's broken up into 2 systems. It's got 5 batteries in total. Under the bonnet, there's 2 batteries. One's your starter battery, your crank battery, which also runs the front winch. And there's also a spare battery there just for an emergency starting capacity if the crank battery goes flat. And then there is a battery which is in the back to run the rear winch.
Just for the winch?
Just for the winch alone, yes. It's a 100 amp hour gel battery because you can't run a long cable from the front to a rear winch. The power drop will just be too much. The cable size would be just horrendous. The camper is detachable from the vehicle, so it can be left in a campsite or left at home or whatever, and then you end up having tray-back vehicle. So the camper has to be self-sufficient in its own power. So it has a 500 watt solar panels on the roof, 2 200 amp hour lithium batteries.
So 400 amp hours in total in the camper?
400 amp hours in total. Because I've got the 5 batteries, can't always just rely on the solar panels. We sourced from the United States a 390 amp alternator, and that's what we have on the engine.
With all that power, surely I'm expecting you to have a coffee machine.
I've got an espresso coffee machine, I've got to have that. So there's 2 induction cook plates, plus a microwave.
Microwave?
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't be without the microwave. It's fantastic. Got big Bertha travel oven for heating pies and things like that during the day. 85 litre Dometic. I looked at the upright fridges. The good thing about a chest fridge is that all the cold stays in the chest itself. That makes a difference when you're in the tropics. The camper comprises of a pop-top roof, which gives you full standing head height, full-size queen bed and a queen mattress, a small lounge room which will enable 2 people to sit quite comfortably, good airflow, ceiling fan, a diesel heater, so in cold nights you can warm up your camper and stay toasty. Clothes storage, drawers and so forth inside. On the passenger side there's an outdoor kitchen, slide out workbench, a slide out sink, the chest freezer. On the driver's side you've got a pantry and storage facilities for all of your bulky items. Communication, we've got GME, it's the main radio. It's a GME XRS, and then we've got 2-watt handheld. We took out the standard AM FM radio and put a Kenwood in. That also has a reversing camera as part of that. There are also 4 fixed cameras around the vehicle, one facing front, one on each side and one facing rear. We use the Garmin Explorer as the mapping device, and there's a centre console fridge, which is most important.
Are they stock seats?
They're from a Ford Falcon Pursuit. And then you've got all the gauges you need, your boost gauge, all of your monitoring of charging and coolant temperatures and so forth. We're running 2 scan gauges so that each one of the scan gauges can be set for various readings, so you don't have to keep on changing between scan gauges. You can just glance at one or the other and give you the readings that you're looking for. The bottom console is custom specially for the 8-speed automatic gear shifter, and the roof console, and that's where we have the GME radio built into the head console.
Why not a 4x4? Why not a Ram truck or an F truck?
I looked at both of those, but the issue is that all of the tracks in Australia have pretty much been made by Landcruisers. If you bring in a wider track, it's going to be scraping the edges of the ruts where you have exposed roots which can tear the tyres apart. For the tracks that I was looking at going on, which are really, really remote, I don't think that they were going to be suitable for what I wanted to do.
The 3 best trips you've done in this vehicle?
The 2 best ones would be in the Simpson Desert, doing the QAA line and the Madigan line. And the 3rd one would be Pigeon House Mountain down on the south coast.
Cheers, John. Thanks for being part of Modified.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Ronnie. Cheers.
Mate, pleasure's all mine. The 6x6, mate. Hope you guys like that rig. I certainly did. We'll see you guys next time on Modified.